Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast, a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. We have our most favorite co hosts right after this.
Justice for you and me. Justice for Mike Brown.
No justice, no peace.
After the death that shook the entire country, I decided to step up as a community activist and create a global podcast, Woke by Accident. Here, I amplify compelling news stories and matters impacting African Americans and their communities. My goal is to give a voice to the voiceless and have the difficult conversations needed to advance relations and matters of race. Tune in to Woke by Accident podcast. I am your host, Jen, and it is streaming on all of your favorite streaming platforms, as well as our website, www.wokebyaccident.net. Thank you for listening and take care.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. Today we have our most favorite co host, Sambaza, host and creator of the Sambaza podcast. And he is a two-time nominee for Best African Diasporan Podcast by the APVA. And he is from the Republic of Kenya in East Africa. He has been a presenter at the Afros and Audio Podcast Festival discussing Pan-Africanism, and he is slated to be an ambassador for the 2024 Afros and Audio Podcast Festival. Welcome, Sambaza.
Thank you, Jen. I'm glad to be here for another day.
Yeah.
Great
We
podcast.
went ahead and let the intro play. We haven't played that in a while. So shout out to Drippin' and Black Productions. Okay, so how's it going, Sambaza?
Oh, it's good. That's why you saw me. I was busy grooving by the time it started. That's a nice intro.
Yeah, thank you. We worked hard on that. Yeah, for sure. So, today we're going to do things a little different. We did have a different show planned for you, but we will pivot and move accordingly. We did want to, in the last couple of episodes, we have been acknowledging mental health awareness. And so we're going to just do a little mini recap of our last three episodes covering that subject matter. And then if you guys have questions and so on, please drop that in the chat and we'll be glad to address that with you guys. So let's see. So on and really this has been like a series covering the mental health awareness episodes and autism. We've actually having another autism episode and mindset episode planned. Really excited about that. Thoughts about that before we talk about the first mental health episode?
This has been really interesting because, see, we've been interchanging them back and forth. But I think the fact that we're tackling the issue of mental health is really awesome, and I'm happy to kind of get into the subject because some of these things we look at them as taboo, and
Mhm.
at least we're shining some light on it and make people understand that it's normal. Some things are just normal. We need to normalize it and not look at it as something that is, like I said, a taboo.
Right. Like we on the last recap, we talked about episodes where we had Miss Denise Moore destigmatizing the what is that word? Yeah, just you said taboo, but no, it's well, I guess it's destigmatizing mental health because it is a stigma. That's what it is. I was getting my words twisted. But yeah, there really is a stigma with getting help. And, like we talked about with Paula last episode, what stays in this house, you keep it in this house, all these things we kind of grew up with. And that is keeping us from addressing things that are really, driving us mad or preventing us from being our greater selves.
And also, caller was also give us some little bit of information, but we'll get into it. That which one do you
Mhm.
want to start off with?
Yeah, so picking up where we left off, episode 156 was our, I guess, initial autism awareness episode. We had the Bonvillians join us, and that was really great. We had a uh, set of parents, a couple of parents, Mr. and Mr. Von Villian, join us from Louisiana who have a young child with autism. And so they shared about what they have been experiencing from the point of, trying to get that diagnosis to seeking therapy and resources that could help with communication and yes, I'll let you share on that before we get further along in that.
Oh, yeah, it was one of the, I think, the longest episodes we've done together. Uh,
Okay.
but when you look at it, it had all the content that needed to be, we needed to have it long. It has people, the Bond villains really poured out their story,
Mhm,
and they talked about, everything that we needed to know. They want gonna let people not know what was there, and we appreciate that. Uh, some people, and like I said, some people find this subject so hard to talk about. Therefore, when it's one of those situations, you will not get enough information about it. People might be dangling around a circle and not want to tell you what you really need to know, but
mhm,
they really poured out on that. And I kind of liked it at the end when they really stayed about their toddler, their son, about how
mhm.
much of a good he is, and you really felt it from their heart. It was right, the you could feel that it was coming right down from their heart about this, their toddler.
Definitely. And I guess I wasn't prepared for, the emotional part of that conversation. And I know, this is a very serious matter. Um, People are dealing with things that are difficult. Having autism is, no walk in the park. The people it affects people differently. That's where, that terminology being on the spectrum, there's different parts of the development that is impacted. And then we talk about, we'll get into that last episode to kind of tie, um to demonstrate and tie in with that, it impacting people differently, but to hear a mother, say that she was mourning the childhood that her son would not have, being a child with autism versus a child that does not have autism, really struck a chord, and it just kind of broke my heart a little bit. And so not to, I guess I felt for what they're going through, and I just wanted, them to be successful in, getting the information and guidance that they were seeking, because they shared that.
All right, and I think with the kind of information she has looked into, when she said she went to the Facebook pages and went to all the other locations that she needed to get the information she needed, that actually made everything seem to be all right, like they were going to be all right. Most of the times when somebody approaches you, they usually have a problem of there's not enough information out there. They'll complain that there's not enough information. What I noticed that they had hope and they were go-getters. So they were looking for it, or looking for the information, and went after the information, and look at where they are now. Now, it's not that they have 100%, but this is a matter of trying. You keep trying and trying and trying and trying. Um, uh, they never stop, and that's what I think. They also told us about new parent. We asked them about new parents, and they said you have to try. You don't give up. They're good and they're bad, but the whole point is, at the end of the day, you just gotta keep trying.
Totally. That was definitely a takeaway from the Bavilians, that they were, determined to, seek help and guidance and do everything that they could so that their son could thrive. And I was, really touched by that. The fact that she was an educator and shared that, she recognized signs of the developmental process not being where it should be, based on age and the normal growth of a young person. And so I was definitely touched by that. And it was really clear that they were determined, to make sure that their child thrives. And I wanted to make sure that that point came across, which I think it did, is that even though your child may be on the spectrum, or you may have a child that has autism, your child can still thrive. Your child can still have a great childhood. They still have memories, and you can have those special moments with them. They learn differently, they communicate differently. And I just wanted to make sure that or that message got, translated in the episode. And I think it really did. I really, with their
Mhm.
story.
It did. It did very well. I was it another takeaway. When you look at Nikki, the dad, also he also spoke on this on the side of men. The way as men we also feel like we lost, like even the part when you say the childhood, and I also wanted to get his part because I think us men usually have this idea of it's going to be all right, but then there's also that resistance. Now, notice in the story that the doctor said the boy was just being a boy, and these are men who are on that. It's like for us men, we have some type of thinking. It doesn't sink in really quickly. That's kind of what I got from, and I know I'm that way. I'll be honest with you, I'm that way. It does take a while to sink in. I Things will come up, and it'll take me a while. So I could relate to him. And then when you talk about the doctors telling the child that this child is still growing, he's still a child. Yet the mother is telling you, there's something wrong here. Let's look into it. So I get that. We're all human. I guess the male species is a different species altogether.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So, who next? Who do you go to next? The next one was Paula, right?
It was 158 with Paula Sima.
Paula Sima Mula Mula, the government child, as someone called. Well, that was an inside joke. However, Paula was talking about her life, uh, and since it was mental awareness, she was trying to express how people should feel and how people should take people with mental illness. This is where we have to provide, and she said this: you provide a safe space for somebody who has mental health, because if you don't have a place where you feel safe to talk about your problems, then the situation is not working. Uh, a lot has to do with how you communicate with the person. Tell them, hey, this is a safe space, but then you have to make them feel comfortable. You have to make them feel like, okay, if I say something here, it's not going to be looked at as, oh, this is weird. Oh, this is what. So her podcast makes sure that everyone, when they get there and they are talking about themselves, they are comfortable. They feel free.
True. And to clarify, Paula's podcast is called Talk SHIT. What is it? Sambaza?
You get me say that. Talk it should be.
There you go. So that is the name of
Right.
her podcast. But I love how she shared, the motivation of wanting to or creating the podcast. It's she, was looking for, you know, a medium, a platform for someone dealing with depression, that dealing with, having these feelings, and you want to talk with someone else who knows what you're going through. And she didn't see that out there, so she created her own. And I love that idea. And I hope that that message, radiates through this broadcast, is that, if you're not seeing something that you're seeking, create it for yourself. And I think that's a great message. And I love that she shared that. And I really feel like you can apply that to so many different things. So,
And I like also that she rebranded from the she used to bring everyone on the show, and then she took off that part. And after she figured out where or the direction of her podcast, she started bringing the creatives, because as
mhm,
creatives, and she said very well, you are out there, you see somebody, and you're like, wow, he's having a good life, he's having it all, but these are real people. What you see is on stage. That's a different persona, and they're
mm,
having at the back when they leave all those cameras and what have you. Like even here, we are podcasters, but who knows? When I leave here, I have a totally different life. It's not the same life. So Paula explained that. So she got the creatives to be able to express themselves, so that when you look at them, you're like, it's normal for a creative to have, uh, have, I don't want to say issues, but have challenges. That's another cliche word. Challenges in their lives in terms of their mental health and emotional intelligence and everything. So
right.
shout outs to Paula for looking at a different niche and trying to explore that, because also some of these things have been explored by other people. So
Mhm.
when you're also podcasting, you can try to make your own niche, and I think it works now.
It does. That's why I love having creatives on, because we all kind of do this process and navigate differently. And it's kind of cool to get other people's perspective, that, you kind of navigate, or you got started this way and then you pivot and you did some things. Like she said, she's going to bring back, another component of her platform that she kind of used to do before. Do you recall the name of it?
Which one? The company?
No, it's, I guess, something. I guess her in city, live in the city meetups or something like that that she's
Yeah,
doing. Yeah.
yeah, Atlanta. She's coming with the meetups in Atlanta as well, because she said people are mostly on the screen, the aftermath of COVID, but now she wants to create the meetups that they used to have and kind of meet up people, and that's also another way of communicating. Human beings are not meant to be caged up somewhere in a hole, even though some people are comfortable with that, but you want to get out there and have some sort of social life with people. Seeing and touch is also one of the thing, a human element.
True, true. And it's interesting that, a lot of people started their podcast during the pandemic, even and
Oh, me too.
it's just one of those things that happen. But a lot of those podcasts have fell by the wayside too, which we've had conversations about that in a lot of our podcast circles. That there's pod fave, but I think the ones that have stayed the course, have pivoted in a way, just with the changes of life and everything.
And Paula's is a good example,
Hmm.
because your mental health is very broad, and which is what I'm learning. You see, that's one thing people should also realize. When you come to watch one episode and then we bring another person, you don't expect the same thing that's going to happen. You're going to see two different people expressing two different views or angles. And that's the beauty of this, because what Paula brought and talked about herself is totally different from what we got next.
Right.
And yeah, it just totally different, different customer brings you a different, different customer. Different
True.
podcast guest brings you a different experience.
Yes. And then I like that. And I'm just kind of reflecting back on the episode with Paula Sima Mula Mula, who was a guest on the um, guess what was that, 157, episode 157, she shared that, we kind of had a conversation about what to look out for if someone is dealing with, going through something, they're going through, and you kind of want to be present. What can you identify in the behavior? And she said maybe someone who, were posting all the time and then they stop, or, they were, always going out to eat, or, you see them eating and then all of a sudden they're not eating like normal, just a really cut change in that behavior. I thought was a really good call out that she shared to notice in, your friends who may be experiencing tough times. And I can, speak to that, having recently, went through a major loss in my life. I lost my mom in January, and I've tried to, I guess, personally stay busy so that, but I don't really probably haven't like officially dealt with it in like the true way that a person should, but I just try to stay busy.
Is there a true way of dealing with the loss? I think the way you should say it is you deal with the loss according to the way you feel you're gonna, get to go through it. People have different ways of going through losses. So,
Yeah.
do it your way. Like, I it took me over a year to accept that my mom had passed on, and that was and I still talk to her as present. I don't talk to her as past. It's always present, present, present. Which is sometimes I I'm getting used to it, but in the beginning was weird. But there are those adjustments.
Hmm. Hmm.
You take a while. It takes a while, and just go through the things you need to go through.
Well,
Um, also,
yeah.
mhm, also there was this thing she talked about boundaries because I brought about
Mhm.
the situation where now somebody has issues, not issues. Somebody has challenges in their life, and you're the friend, and they keep calling you, and it emotionally drains you as the person who's trying to help out.
Mhm.
So when is it time to tell the person, hey, you know what, enough is enough? I think you need to seek professional help. I'm not that person that can give you that help because probably you're gonna send me to to therapy, and I may need the therapy as well. But well, there's nothing
Mm.
wrong with therapy, right? But what I'm
Right,
saying
right.
is it can also drain the other person when you kind of constantly bombarding them with things, like depressing thoughts where you want to help out, but there has to be a boundary. Create a boundary at some point and say, you know what, I'm your friend. We've gotten this part. I've helped you get to this part, but I think at this point in time, you want to get the medical attention because they're the ones who are good to or quick or able to assist you. Because as a person, I don't have a qualification for whatever job it is that you need. I'm there as a friendly face that you can talk to and pour out all your emotions and all what you feel. But at some point, there has to be yeah, an end goal. And what is the end goal?
I can appreciate that. For sure. If with all your relationships, I think it's a good idea to know internally what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. And those things that you're not comfortable with, boundaries should be established and shared with the other party. So, definitely agree with that thought.
And then we had who? Stone G.
Yeah, so 158, is that right? Yes, so we brought in Mr. Stone G from Australia, who is a veteran counselor who counsels individuals, mostly who have autism, and he, shared that he himself has autism and deals with it, and he has a podcast. So he's another content creator. We talked about how we, love to connect with other content creators. So not only was he a content creator, but he was a, licensed counselor who has autism, who helps other people with very passionate about helping others too. I thought it was an excellent episode. Your thoughts on that one?
I noticed that when I went to his episodes, most of those episodes of he's still on season one, do contain a lot of the counselors who actually are autistic, and they they know how to express themselves. Um, I advised most of the people who are here right now. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe the show. Uh, if you go over to his podcast, Mind the Autism podcast, most of the people are counselors, and they also have autism. They have some aspect of autism, except I think one guy who was from Israel. But that's another story for another day. Because, well, let me put it like this: they have this special program where they were using some drones to track something, and they were using autistic people because they were really good to detail. And you want to go listen to the podcast because it was a long podcast, and I think it, I really cannot explain well because I only caught a little bit of it. However, um, I like the fact that he brought the people who also were on the spectrum themselves, and they were, oh, they had a safe space. Especially the fact that, remember, here we're talking about safe spaces. They knew
Yes.
that when they were in his presence, it was a safe space, and they could talk about their feelings, and they could talk about their experiences, which made it more authentic, and also uh, more informative, unlike some others
Right.
where people would dance around the subject. So that was one of the best things I had. And Stone G is also African American. He was just born in
Mhm.
Japan, then he went to Australia, decided to live in Australia, and now, well, he goes back and forth from France to Australia, which
Okay.
makes it even interesting because you remember he talked about the moving, and when he's so with his with the way he is, and he says, you're finding your being. He likes things to be in order, and just by the moving part of it, he had everything was out of order. So by the time it was coming to a podcast, he wasn't um comfortable around his surroundings, but he made sure he brought up a good podcast, and he gave us some very passionate and informative and also advice that we need to be using on our upcoming podcast as well.
For sure. This is definitely a great episode to check out. And I think I said the number incorrectly. It's actually 159. The sequence got a little haywire. So this is actually 158 that you're tuning in, and then that is 159. Don't ask. So, but no. But no, he shared. I love how he, we would ask him something about, putting autistic in front of it, and he just, kind of pivot and then, he just pivot that question back, and it's like, you're still a person. He's like, I'm a black man. I'm autistic. I have autism. And so the fact that he had his autism basically does not limit him from thriving or learning or communicating or helping people or wanting to have a desire to help people or get whichever goals or and accomplishments that he seeks. And I thought that was excellent. Yeah.
You,
So
you have a good point there because we are not giving him justice when he explained how he talked about being. You have to get yourself to be a person. Don't look at him on the spectrum. Just being on the spectrum is nothing to do with him. It's just he's a person. Now talk about the person. Learn the person,
correct.
which
Right.
was tied down back to the first one we had with the Bond villains when they were talking about
Mhm.
their toddler. It's like, you know, you look at him as he is. If you know him as he is and look at him as he is, minus whatever comes after that, you'll find that he's a normal person, only that he has his own world that we're not privy to, you know?
True. But basically, we're all different. Like I said, he will still have a childhood. It would just be different. He'll still have memories and dreams and, be able to accomplish things. I mean, she shared that she was able to teach him American Sign Language. I mean, that is like, you know, impressive, if not anything, for someone who had struggles with communicating, because everybody who has autism is not able to communicate as eloquently as Mr. Stone G, and we know that. But there's different tools and techniques and concepts that can be shared. American Sign Language, you know what I mean? He can hear, but she taught him American Sign Language as another way that he can communicate. And if he can, understand and grab that concept, like that is huge. That it really is huge. So,
Adaptation. The human being is great at adapting, and that's where he picks up from. He says, "Okay, I cannot communicate verbally, but then I may be able to communicate with you via sign language."
true. I mean, it
And
just really, yeah. Go ahead.
for the record, if you talk to him and say anything, he understands anything you say. Just
Hmm.
that he'll use the sign language to revert back and have the conversation with you, or whatever you want to talk to him about. He'll to revert back to sign language as a response. But
Okay.
anything else you say, he understands.
Yeah, and almost forgot to mention that you, Sambaza, shared the Bonvillians are part of your family village, and so I appreciate you being comfortable in sharing that with Woke by Accident and the listeners. So thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome,
Yeah,
and many more.
for sure. And so, but yeah, so I think that was a great tie-in. When you told me that you found the information for Stone G, I immediately thought that would be a great add on for this, great body of work that we're completing here. Highlighting mental health awareness, autism awareness, someone as, established as Mr. Stone G, shows, what can become of someone, on the spectrum, a young person. You can thrive and then you can become successful, a business owner, you can do whatever you want, you know.
Did he also tie? Did he try? Did he make us understand where mental health, like seeking therapy,
Mhm.
and also seeking therapy and autism? I don't know. There was some kind of there's kind of some kind of connection that he had, but he said that you don't need therapy to understand. You need therapy probably to understand who you are, but you don't need therapy to make you. Did he say, I, I'm getting confused. Let me not give you guys wrong information, but hey,
Okay.
just go back and listen to that podcast,
Yeah, I
and
think I
you'll.
follow. I think I
Yeah,
follow you.
you follow what I'm saying, right?
Mentioned being aware of yourself,
Right.
and that self accusation, you know, uh, self, you know what I mean?
Actualization. This is
Yes,
self-actualization. Yeah.
yes, you got it. But no, definitely knowledge, knowing yourself and understanding what that you need structure, and those things help you understand and learn. And that's why, schedule and things like that help you in your process.
I think I figured it out. It was the fact that you don't need to be told what you are, but you need to be guided, like exactly what you said. You need to be guided through the path that you're going through. Like, for example, this is the path you want to take. Well, maybe you want to go to point A and point B, but you cannot go from point A to point B. You got to go to A plus one on the side, stop here, and then go there. and that's where a counselor comes in to guide you to move, with therapy, and tells you,
Okay.
they're like a guide. One of the one of his shows, they talk about that as, when you are comfortable, and then here again we go back, when you're comfortable, you have to be comfortable with the person that you're going to be who's going to be teaching you these concepts.
Mhm.
And when they start teaching you, all they're doing is standing by you and holding your hand and guiding you and telling you, okay, this is the path, like the river. They use the analogy of a river. So that's what I got from that particular episode.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing that. And we encourage you guys to take a look at our episodes on mental health awareness and autism. We're definitely proud of what we've completed, and please stay tuned, stay with us for what we have to come. We do have some additional perspectives and guests that we'll share on subject matter of autism and mindset. I'm really looking forward to that. So, for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a
Yeah,
lot coming, guys. There's a lot coming. This is
it
just
is.
starting off.
And this, I was not planned. This kind of
I
just
liked it.
organically developed. Yeah, so I appreciate your hand and effort, because you got juggling a lot of plates, I think as we all are. So yeah, but I really do enjoy creating this content and sharing it with others. I feel like someone somewhere out there will find something useful and apply that. That is my hope.
All right, definitely there is. Uh, once it's out there, people will consume it.
For sure. And so we do have some additional episodes planned. I think they're even out there on YouTube, where you can, put it on your reminders and things like that. So,
Are we gonna
and
do this?
okay, sure. Let's round it out as we get ready to
I,
pivot.
yes.
Okay.
This is my favorite part. So which one are you doing? Red or the green? Red or the green? Red pill or the green pill?
Let's go green.
All right, we're gonna go green. Okay. I'll give you only 3 questions.
Does that mean I have to have questions for you?
Nah. I'll let you
Maybe
chat.
one.
All right, then I'll just do 2. Ah, found one. What makes you laugh the most? Sorry.
Okay. Probably,
Uh-huh.
what do they say? You tell God your plans or something, and you laugh, or you watch him laugh or something. I would say at myself, really. You know what I mean? Looking back on, prior experiences and things where I thought had life figured out or something like that. And it's, kind of comical, but, that helps you pivot, as we talked about. And yeah,
All right. So
all right.
what's yours? Before I give you my next one.
What?
The next you're supposed to give
Oh,
me a
for
quick.
you?
Yeah.
Suppose this was not. Okay,
I'll just
okay,
do
okay.
this. I'll just do this on my Sambaza podcast because I think it
No,
makes you it makes
yeah.
you it makes the person kind of like, I'm coming to the end of it.
Okay, here's a good one.
What you got?
What is the last thing you've done that you were really proud of?
Mm, I must say, wow, that where are you getting these questions? It's so hard. So many
It's
things you've
not
done.
hard.
Um, the last thing I did that I was so proud of myself, I can say this: I was a referee. Now, When you do when you ref, you have to be the center. You can be on the side or you can be on the center. But I did the centering and I went through it, and it was one of the loveliest things. I've never done it before, and I was proud of myself because I thought I wouldn't be able to do it, and that made me feel great.
Good. I knew you were going to say something about soccer and what you do out there. I was like, come on, soccer dad.
Yeah, yeah,
You
agreed.
got something for us. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna give two things. What are the most two fun things to do near your home or around your state or your city? Two things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say um, going to see live music.
Okay.
We have some good concerts that come through. And even like locally, there's some good cover bands and things like that that play good music
Okay. That's
in
one.
St. Louis.
All right.
And
What's the other one?
then,
You got two.
and where were you said something fun to do or just,
Right. Something fun to do near your home or town, near your town. It's in St. Louis.
yeah, I would say there's some nice wineries that are
Oh, they do.
within, yeah, like a 1 hour, 2 hours. That a lot of people, if you're in Missouri, you drive a little piece out and you find some nice wineries to hang
Oh,
out.
I don't know they were. I don't know they were known for that. I thought everything was in California. Wine was in California. Hey,
Yeah, definitely.
I need to start reading more.
Yeah, Augusta, and there's some parts of Illinois that have some wineries that that's just like a puddle jump away. So yeah.
So let me tell you this weird story. I'm traveling to Kenya. Um, I get to the airport and I find a book that has all the 52 states of the US, and it tells you what is good about each particular state when you want to travel. Now, where else would you get something like that? I do have it somewhere. Now, I think I need to go start reading on it and probably get some fun facts about places. And if I ever travel, then I'd be more knowledgeable and stuff.
And how many states were there,
50,
Sambaza?
50, 52, is it 52 or 50? 52. Hey,
Okay.
listen. That's why I have a diaspora podcast. I claim that.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm not.
I claim the podcast, the
Okay.
diaspora podcast. That's why. Oh, I think I'm going to be in running for diaspora podcast of the year. So guys, we'll start voting pretty soon
What?
for. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. This is news. We weren't aware of
APVA,
this.
APVA.
Okay.
I don't want to win. Look, not that I don't want to win, but just the fact that I get nominated is in itself great to have your name being called part of it. So,
For sure. And I get so much anxiety for applying for awards. Like I think there was only one award that I applied for, and I did get a nomination that one time. So yeah, we'll see how we, you know,
yeah, just and then put it up there and mention it.
right. But I mean, I really feel like we may have some award winning things.
Oh yeah,
So
with the stories that we've been collecting, and we appreciate all the all the people who've come to the show, because when they do come in and they give us their content, that makes us be not. Can I use validated? No, no. We'll say it makes the show have some type of uh, standing in the community of podcasts.
there you go.
And when we also go and solicit people out there and say, "Hey, you want to come onto our podcast?" They look at it and say, "Okay, fine. What do you have?" Because people do scroll. I've had
Mhm.
disappointments before when I go out there and say, "Can you come to my podcast?" Well, this was back then when I used to have like 4 episodes. People go look at your podcast and ask you, "How many? What's your reach?" So now where we're at,
Mhm.
and with the stories that are coming up, you do tend to have people who look at the podcast, go back and look at your community also, and say, okay. for what these people are worth and what content they're producing, it's worth coming to consider them as part of our group and give them an award to say, you know what, thank you for the work that you've done.
Okay, that's interesting. You said what is your reach? This is an international global podcast. Okay.
There you go.
So our reach is, wanna,
Go everywhere.
I'm just saying it's global.
Right.
It's grassroots, independent, but we're global. And no, I'm proud of that though. And I always say I don't need awards and all of that, but it's definitely nice to you know, hear that. I don't want you said you don't want to say
You know, you know,
validation.
shout outs to the guy in Guam who checks in on our podcast.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it's some Germany's out there too.
Hey,
Wait a minute. I thought you were gonna say something else. You're talking about awards. We have a friend that is the
yeah,
master of awards.
23 now. 23.
Yeah. Shout out to Mr.
We'll
Lawson.
probably, we'll probably have him come on to the show one time too. See, there's a
He's
lot
he's
coming.
been here, but he'll come.
No,
Hopefully, he'll
no,
come
no,
back
no,
with
no, no.
you.
No, we, both of us, so we
Okay.
can, we can, what do you call it, harass him. It'll
Yeah,
be a
we've
great show.
already had some offers from our other C4 friends. I think Al, Mr. Al Pete will be coming
Oh yes,
along soon, and some other
you
friends,
don't want to miss
hopefully.
this one. You don't want to miss the one with Al.
Yeah, that should be a good time. But no, I'm looking forward to that mindset, Mr. Reggie Bisor. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, great. So Jen, we're gonna conclude today, but before you leave, I'd like you to tell me or tell the viewers where we can find your show, Work by Accident. And don't say all
Yes.
socials. Let's go like all of them.
Huh?
Spotify, YouTube.
So, the show is called Walk by Accident,
Okay.
and you can find it on Apple, Spotify, including our website, which is walkbyaccident.net. And oh my gosh, it's so many different platforms, even Pandora, there's Audible, you know, you said don't say where all podcasts can be found. SoundCloud, we're out there. We're out there, friend. So YouTube and the audio episode will be available very soon, and you'll get notifications once you follow us. So we would love to have you follow us um, out on the podcast platforms.
All right. And I am Sambaza, host of the Sambaza podcast, and my people are always called Wasambazaji. And Wasambazaji, you can find me or you'll find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, all at Sambaza Podcast. Now I'm also at iHeartRadio. It's well Spotify in general, Apple Podcasts, and the new Google, which turned into YouTube Podcasts. So we're everywhere. And thank you for supporting us at all time, Wasambazaji. So Jen,
Definitely.
close out.
Definitely. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys for joining us today. We definitely um, are very happy that we had so many viewers tuning in. Chat's quiet today, but that's all right. We see you. We see you. Thank you for being present with us. And yeah, our heart is full. We appreciate you supporting the content. Definitely have more planned. And if you found something useful, we appreciate that. And you can share, tell a friend, and information will be included in our show notes. So, with that, we appreciate you and take care.